All right. Well, welcome to Chem 201. And the first thing I would like to do is share my screen. So now you should see this area, which is the home in your Canvas course. Okay. Is that correct? Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So it's pretty much a standard Canvas shell. You know, our class is supposed to meet face to face, but because of COVID and stuff, the first 2 weeks are going to be online. But it looks like things are simmering down, and we shouldn't have a problem in 2 weeks to meet. And that's great because I think lab online is really bad. But it's okay because this first 2 weeks, we're going to take our time. We're going to do this, or you're going to do this first so-called lab, where we usually start this way in a regular semester anyway, fairly slow to get people up to snuff. And the first week or so, we work in the computer lab. So we don't even get to the lab in a normal semester here in 201. So it's not much different. But before I get to the details of that first lab, I'd like to go over the syllabus and schedule. And then, well, we'll take a look at this first page. So let's do that first before we get to the syllabus and schedule. So we'll come back and look at that. Next, I have some safety videos and a lab techniques quiz. Now for this quiz, you should do this before we meet. And we don't meet for 2 weeks. The February 14th, week 3 week is when we meet on Monday and Wednesday. Then, you know, when we're face to face, we'll get into some real lab work. But before then, I understand that everyone in the class has different experiences. For example, some of you guys have worked in Chem 200 in the lab. Other guys out there, you may not have had the opportunity. So it's really important for you to look through the online material that we have, and that deals with not only safety, but also lab technique. So the first thing you want to do, or one of the first things you want to do before you get to lab in 2 weeks, so you have plenty of time to do this, is to take a look at these pre-lab videos. And they go through the use of the analytical balance in case you haven't had the opportunity or you need a refresher, the volumetric pipette and pipetting techniques, spectrophotometer, using the burette, not only cleaning it and filling it, but also reading the burette. So there's all the details. You want to watch those and then take that pre-lab quiz. Okay. There's a video on equipment that you want to look at as well to refresh your memory of the various pieces of glassware that we have and other equipment. So when you check in, you'll know what they look like. And some of you may have seen the ACS safety video, so you can check that out if you haven't. But when we get into lab, I'm going to do a customized safety activity and show you exactly where everything is, you know, in terms of eye washes and showers and the fire extinguisher and so forth. So I'll customize that safety presentation for the laboratory when we get to it. Then we have the Zoom room here, where obviously you know how to get to because you wouldn't be at this meeting if you didn't. And here's where I want to tape our first 4 meetings. So right now we're taping. Once you get in here, I'll put a link to this video right in that spot. And then on Wednesday's video, go there. And then next week's videos will go here. All righty. And so that takes us through pretty much everything in Canvas that you're going to need. There's this main page, which has most of your information. The other thing that you're going to need in Canvas is right over here with the assignments. So besides the main page, this assignment tab right here is going to be important because it's going to have that pre-lab techniques quiz, and it's going to have all the information you need for the 10 labs that you're going to be responsible for during the term. So the first lab is this electronic spreadsheet and computer graphing lab. This is what we'll be talking about momentarily. And we have, as you'll see, a couple weeks to get that all buffed up and ready for submission. Then when we meet in 2 weeks, we're going to start the chemical kinetics lab and equilibrium. And we'll take a look at that in the schedule. Now, in each one of these little modules here, you can click on, and then it goes to a page with information about what you need for that assignment. So for the first assignment, it says, after reading through the lab manual, you should take the pre-lab quiz. Now, this pre-lab quiz isn't going into your grade, but what it will do is help you prepare and get the best grade possible that you can for your lab report. So after you read the first lab, which is right down here in the PDF form, so you don't even have to buy the lab manual just yet, because here's your first lab. And so the first part of this lab is pretty much a tutorial on how to use the spreadsheet. So it talks about how you can enter in data into a spreadsheet, right? And it talks about how you can generate other data based off of the data that you presumably got from lab experiments. So you can generate these. And in this tutorial, it talks about relative definitions in Excel versus global definitions and what that means and how you can use them. It also talks about how to generate data using the built-in calculator in Excel. So you don't have to do it by hand. You can generate lots of data just based off of these operations, which can be performed within Excel. So it's, you know, a lot of you people probably already know how to do this, but if not, no worries. This is where you're going to learn or refresh your memory. And it's going to talk about how to present data in Excel. It's going to talk about how to plot data. It's going to talk about how to visualize the formulas in Excel. It's going to talk about how to fit plots to mathematical functions and have those functions print out on Excel. So all of this is tutorial stuff in the beginning until you get to this part, section 10. This is where the assignment starts. And this is what you'll have to upload in Canvas. And this is what I'm going to grade. So you need to perform all these operations for your report and then upload that. And then when I grade it, I look at this and I just see if you did it properly according to the instructions. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, so now for the report, it refers to this electronic spreadsheet and computer graphing file. Okay, it's right there in the Canvas content where we launched into this file. So I'll just go back one and show you where that file is in assignments. So it's, again, it's in electronic spreadsheet and computer graphing. Here's that quiz. It's just 3 questions. This is the file that we were just looking at. This is the spreadsheet. No, I'm sorry. This is the file we were just looking at, the copy from the lab manual. This here is the spreadsheet Excel that you need to use to work up your data and submit your report. Now, having said all that, I've also included a video here, YouTube video that I made with some hints on how to go about answering all the questions for your report. So you can play that video. It's almost 18 minutes long, and it goes through in somewhat gory detail on how to prepare your report. This first thing was access denied. I'm going to have to fix that link. All right, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay. Are there any questions so far?
Yes.
Yeah, shoot.
Oh, no, never mind. Sorry.
Okay. So I have 3 labs, and you guys are the Monday, Wednesday 220 lab for 3 hours. I also have a Monday, Wednesday lab that meets at 9:35 for 3 hours. And I have a Friday lab that meets from 9 to 3 in the afternoon, 6 hours. So that's 3 different labs. The Monday, Wednesday meets twice a week. The Friday lab meets once a week for 6 hours. Now, the reason why I tell you about this is because if you are going to miss a lab, you have an opportunity to make it up in another lab. But you have to contact the instructor for that lab. All right, more on that a little later. Here's the syllabus and schedule in Canvas. So we have the class syllabus here and then the schedule here. I would recommend that you print out the schedule and include it with your lab manual in a 3-ring binder, something like that, or hang it on your wall at home or something. It's nice to have a hard copy of a schedule so you can, with just a glance, look at where you are and where you're going to be in the future. Anyway, let's take a look at the schedule. I mean, not the schedule, the syllabus. So we have a laboratory description, 2nd semester, and how the topics here are coordinated with your lecture. So the lab and lecture are coordinated together. Some objectives and specifics, your prereqs and your co-req. and some of the required material. Now you're going to need that lab manual, not right away necessarily, but I advise you to get a hard copy when you can. You're also going to need a calculator that you can use. So just get a scientific calculator, doesn't have to be expensive, and bring it with you to lab and lecture. You're going to need goggles that not only shield your eyes from the forward, but also on the side. So it has to fit snug to your head. You will need a mask because of COVID. You're going to need this specific type of lock, which you could buy at the bookstore, or you might be able to get one for free at the stock room here on the 4th floor while supplies last. So it's possible to get that. Also a laboratory coat. It's possible to get those here, but you'll have to wait when we check in to get them to see if there's any available. Or you can go out and get them ahead of time. It's up to you. All right, what else do you need? A notebook. Now you can get any kind of notebook, spiral, something you could pull pages out, you know, something cheap. If you have a scientific lab notebook from another class, you can use that as well. They tend to be a little more pricey. If you have it, you can use it. If not, you don't have to spend your money on it just yet. Save it for more advanced classes. You're going to need a flash drive to not only store your data, but share your data with lab partners. And also if you have to take it home to work on for a report. And so that those things you will need and use in this class. Any questions on that?
Oh, if we have hello?
Yes, go ahead.
If we have our own laptop, do we need a flash drive?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
And the reason why is because when you take data in the lab, we have laptops in the lab with software that runs computer interfaced experiments. And now that software you probably won't have on yours, on your computer. Now, there's a workaround. You could download that from the Veneer website, because Veneer is the company that we use their probes and interface boxes with. And I'm pretty sure that's free, but I'm not totally sure if that software is free. So that's where the danger lies.
All right.
A flash drive, they're not too expensive, so you know you can just grab one of those and not worry about it. Another workaround is to use those computers and email the data to yourself if you don't want to use a flash drive. So there are workarounds, but the easiest thing is just to pick up one. I think. All right, any other questions?
For those things that are potentially able to be checked out from the stock room, do we check them out for like the entire semester, or is it like we show up each day and hope there's some?
No, you check it out for the entire semester. In fact, in previous semesters, we just give them to students, and that you can take them with you. You can take the lab coat, the lock, and what was the other thing?
Goggles.
Yes, the goggles, thanks. You could take them They're
Oh,
yours.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. If you get lucky enough to get them. Now, they had plenty of them for the last few semesters, because when COVID first hit and we canceled the labs, a lot of students didn't come back and get their locks, aprons, and goggles. So we just gave them back to the students who came, and a lot didn't come, so they had a lot extra, and so they still have some. And so that's where that's coming from, and that's why they're just giving it away until they run out. All right, any other questions? Okay, we're good. So you're gonna do roughly 10 experiments, and that's gonna make up your grade. You need to make sure that you come to lab when we start meeting face to face, because that's going to be important for your grade. You can't expect to let someone else just take the data and then you're going to use your lab partner's data to do the report. You have to come to lab and take part in that acquisition of laboratory data. So it talks about the penalties for not showing up here. We talk about some more safety policies here that you can read. And then lab reports. I expect that as far as pre-labs go, you pretty much know how to do pre-labs from Chem 200. So we don't focus too much on that in 201. We focus more on the analysis of data and the post-lab. So this is where your grade's going to be mostly from. And we'll talk about that specifically when we get to each specific lab. But essentially, that is the syllabus. Any questions on the syllabus?
It's not necessarily about the syllabus, but if we're working on writing our post-lab or pre-lab and we have a question, what's the best way to reach you?
The best way would be to shoot me an email, I think. Now, in emails during the week, I get back to students pretty quickly, definitely within 24 hours. On the weekends, not so much. So that's the first thing to do. Also, if you're in my lecture, then we can go over lab stuff in the lecture. If you need one-on-one time, then we can make an appointment. And after the first 2 weeks, we can make that appointment to meet in person in my office, which is on the 4th floor of the Math and Science building, or we can do a Zoom meeting, whatever is easiest. And so so that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, well, let's go on to the schedule. So here's the schedule that I recommend that you just print out and then hang on your bedroom wall or somewhere visible that you can see. The first 2 weeks, we're going to meet by Zoom. So these 2 weeks. The third week, we meet in person and you check into your lab lockers. Okay, and we start on experiment equilibrium part A. And then Wednesday of that week, we're going to go to the kinetics experiment and do that for about a week, and then go back to the equilibrium experiment that we set up back here. Okay. But for these first 2 weeks, we're just going to work on this one lab, which is essentially a computer lab. It's an electronic spreadsheet and computer, that we were talking about earlier. And now that lab's not due until 2 weeks from now. It's due Sunday night, the 13th of February, which is, by the way, when you should also complete your lab safety and techniques quizzes, because on the 14th, we're going to meet and get into labs. So it's best to refresh your memory with, use of the pipette and the burette and the spectrophotometer and everything before you get to lab. So, try to get to this before those dates. And that way you'll be all ready to go. We have on this schedule not only when we meet, which is Monday and Wednesday, but we also have the schedule for Tuesday and Thursday, and also for Friday. And the reason why this is so nice is in case in the future that you're going to miss a lab for whatever reason, maybe you can make it up. So what you would do is just go to the online schedule on the MESO website, look up Chem 201 Lab and see who's teaching it, and see if you can fit that time into your schedule, knowing what they're going to be doing. So in lab, for example, all the equipment and the chemicals for equilibrium and kinetics are going to be in the lab for this week and this week down here, and equilibrium is going to be here. So that for those labs, you can maybe make up a session either with me in one of my 3 labs or another instructor. Also, on the schedule, we have page numbers here that refer to different parts of the lab manual where you'll find this material. Okay. All right, so we have our first experiment that's due. You have to load it up by the 13th, that's Sunday night at 11:59 at night to get it in on time. Then we have a holiday on Friday and Monday. And so forth, equilibrium. And then there's this, what's called the lab technique makeup optional. We put this right in the middle of our schedule, just in case for any reasons you couldn't make a lab and you couldn't make it up. Well, you can do this one then. And that could be used to replace any one of these labs. And the instructions for this lab technique lab is in the lab manual on page 51. And of course, it doesn't have a due date because you can do it anytime during this semester. And I think the rest of the schedule is pretty self-explanatory. Any questions on the schedule? No? Then I think we're pretty much done. We're pretty much done talking about everything that you need to know to get started. Now, to get started, you're going to want to look at the pre-lab videos and take that quiz. You can also look at the equipment videos before you check in and the safety video before you get to lab. So all this in 2 weeks you have. Also in 2 weeks, you have your first assignment, which is the electronic spreadsheet and computer graphing lab, ESCG. So all those instructions are right in here, which you should take a look at. And we'll go over some more details on Wednesday and any questions that you might have. So you can see we have a lot of time to do this. So you got any questions on Wednesday? I'm going to be here. We probably won't be here for very long because next week we have Monday and Wednesday to do the same thing. Take any of your questions on this lab or anything. And that's it. Any questions, guys?
Would we be able to use Google Sheets or do we need to get Excel?
Yeah, no, you can use Google Sheets if you can get it
Okay.
to do the same thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
But we don't have Google Sheets here in the computer room. We have Excel. So that's what you'll most likely be using once we resume classes. Okay. Any other questions? No? All right, well, I'm gonna break there and I mean, I'm gonna hang out. If anyone has any specific questions, then you can wait and ask. But that's it.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.